This is it. We've reached the final Freddy movie in the Freddy Revisited series. We are here. The remake from 2010. Yes. I have only seen this movie 3 times. Once when I went to the movie theater to see it, and I remember that this was the first Freddy movie that made me jump. Once after I bought the DVD, and once when I did my last review. So now it's 4 times doing this one. Yes, and as you see, I still have the DVD. That has the notoriety, that the distinction of being the only Nightmare on Elm Street movie I have not re-gotten on Blu-ray. Because I do not want to spend the money on another copy of that movie. I do not like it, Sam I am. So, yeah. I will say, watching this again, this movie's cursed, because I had to go get another steel chair in the middle of watching this, because I went to sit down on the other one, and it broke. So it cursed me. So I had to go all the way over to get a chair, come back. Then I had to relax because I'm fat. And yes, that is probably part of why the chair broke. But, and I had to relax, and then I had to finish watching this damn movie. So what's the plot? Well, the plot is the same as the original, really, with some differences. Okay, so what I like about this movie. I like certain things. I like Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy. Is he better than Robert Englund? No, but he's good. He gets some good lines in this. I like a couple of the actors. Thomas Dekker, Kyle Gallner, Clancy Brown, Katie Cassidy. They're good. The addition of micronaps was a good idea, especially if because you watch all these movies and you think, why are these people falling asleep all the time? I get in the first one, it's, the first one they're trying not to fall asleep, but all the other movies, or maybe 3, but like 4 and 5, they're just falling asleep. They have an excuse for 4, like, what's her name, has daydreams, but they don't go all in on that. So the micronaps thing works. And there's something that I think could have worked if it was executed well, but they don't really go full in on that either. And I can't say that without going into spoilers, but I don't like the fact that they made him a pedophile. I'm not a fan of that. They made the wise decision to drop that from the original, and they brought it back for this one, and it was not a good. I don't like it, because in my eyes, I know Freddy's weird, but he's not a pedophile. I remember watching this in the theater, going, he doesn't diddle. No, he's not a pedophile. No. And that's still one of the things that I just don't like about it, but we'll get there. So, the cast. The cast that is, for the most part, is decently done. A lot of the 2000s actors you see on CW TV and stuff. We have... We'll talk about Nancy at the end, because she's the biggest problem with this movie. So, we have Katie Cassidy playing Chris, who is essentially the Tina character, but she's named Chris, I believe, is an homage to Kristen. And they basically do the same thing they did with Tina. She's the main character until Freddy kills her off, and then we follow Nancy. There's a problem with that. We'll get to it. We have Thomas Dekker as Jesse, which is an homage to Jesse from Part 2, but this became more than an homage because Thomas Dekker is actually gay in real life. Yes, much like Mark Patton, who wasn't out yet. He wasn't out yet. Later he would. But the funny thing is, do you know what his husband's name is in real life? Jesse. Nice little tidbit. But he's happy, you know what I mean? That's fine. It's all that's important, is that you're happy and that people don't criticize you for loving the same sex. Be yourself and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So, yeah. And then there's Nancy. But When it comes to characters, everyone else is named differently. We have Quentin, played by Kyle Gallner, who I think he's doing his best in this, but they didn't give him much to work with. It's almost like they told him, "Hey, do less emotion," because you know he can act his ass off, and in this movie he's not, and he's not the only one. We have Kellen Lutz, Emmett from Twilight. Yes, I remembered his name. Emmett. I don't know. I say it like that. Emmett. He's in this movie for about a cup of coffee. He's the first one to die, and in my opinion, is probably the best death in this movie. And it's just him with a steak knife, slitting his throat, not slitting his throat. I was, yeah, just yeah. That's it. Oh, Nancy. So Clancy Brown he's a school teacher or principal, and he's also, I forgot to mention my Freddy vs. Jason review that the school principal was played by my good friend, Bob Shea. Yes, but Clancy Brown here, he's also Quentin's dad, and he's sort of hushing things. And then you have Nancy's mom, whose name is Gwen, not Marge. And her last name's not Thompson here, it's Holbrook. And her dad is not present. I think they had, Clancy Brown be the replacement for him, but he doesn't do enough in this movie to warrant that. Nancy. So Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy. He does a good job. And he has some of those lines. "Why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet. You know the brain keeps working for 7 minutes after you died. We got 7 minutes to play." He's got those lines, I like the makeup. People don't like. I like it. It's a little bit more, a little bit more than Robert Englund, but he's good in the role. And I also like the kind of performance he gives as the regular Freddy in flashbacks and stuff. That works, and I think he does a pretty good job. Okay, I can't step around it anymore. Rooney Mara plays Nancy, and she's fucking terrible. Because she didn't care about this movie. She hated doing this movie. She hated horror movies and didn't want to be involved, but she did it for the paycheck. And so, after the movie came out, she shit all over it and said she hated doing it and almost wanted to quit acting. No big loss there. But because she's giving minus 100% in this movie, she's giving nothing. No emotion. Nothing. There's nothing from her. And it sucks that we have to follow her for almost the entirety of the movie once Chris dies. They did the same thing like they did in the original. Chris dies partway through, and we follow Nancy. Only problem is, Heather Langenkamp was a decent actress. Even in this one of her first roles, she did a decent job. Rooney Mara, I guess she's a good actress. I guess I should say the difference is that Heather Langenkamp cared about the role and didn't just walk through it, sleep through it, literally. So the movie opens at a diner, and this was in the trailer. I like the cinematography here. It looks good. Some people complain about how they have to distinguish when it's a dream. I like that. I like the opening thing here. I like when Chris is in the classroom and everything turns to ash and there's water on the ground. And I like that. I like that they kind of establish it's a dirty, dingy dream world. But the cinematography looks like shit because everything looks like a dirty, dingy world. Not just when you go into the freaking dream world. No, you have so much dirty, dingy everywhere. There's just so much of it. I know a lot of it is probably the dream world, I guess, now I think about it. But it's still dingy. They're out on a bright sunny day at a funeral, and it still looks dingy as hell, So you meet Dean, who is Kellen Lutz, Emmett, not named after anyone in the series. He should have been Rod, because that's another thing. Oh, he's Rod. He's gonna be Chris's boyfriend, because that's the thing. Nope, he's dead. Instead, Jesse's supposed to be the Rod of this movie, but he goes through the window like he's Glenn. But yeah, and some of these deaths are kind of off screen, is what that is to say. We don't see Freddy perform the deed on some of these. We cut to cutting his throat, and then, which is pretty gnarly looking, and that's it. And we cut to her funeral, and Chris sees a picture of her and Dean as little kids, but they didn't meet till they were in high school. What happened? Well, obviously, they met before, don't remember, right? Right. So, yeah, she has a dream. And again, there's too many dreams here. I'm glad they added in a micronap thing, because Chris at the beginning here, it's a little too repetitive with the she's always dreaming shit. She's a little version of herself. She goes home. She finds that dress. Why they didn't throw it away, I don't know. But she still has the dress in a box somewhere. You know. So, and she has a doggy. Yes. And well, she's talking to Nancy at the funeral, and Jesse shows up like, nope, we're not talking about anything. Nothing happened. Blah 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 blah. He's denying everything. But then when he talks to Chris later, he's like, "Oh, we saw the he had the claw and the red and green sweater. We had the same dream. That's impossible." I was saying that about the first one, but having the same dream is not impossible, but having it the same dream at the same time kind of is. Especially when you write in a plot in the first one where Glenn's supposed to be watching over her, but falls asleep, it doesn't end up in the same dream. Okay. Running. Stop. So, Jessie shows up at her house. There's more to it. Her mom's out of town, because of course she is. Parents are always out of town. She goes to sleep. She has a dream her dog is killed. And then she gets killed, but it's another, like, with Dean, an off-screen kill. And it's an homage to Tina from the first one, but it's so nerded down that all this is, she floats up, she's flying around. By the way, something I noticed, and don't like, Jesse's trying to wake her up, and he gets pushed off of her. Freddy can't push him if he's in the dream world with Chris. He can't push someone in the real world if he's in a dream world with her. He can't. The only thing he can do to affect in here is if Jesse was still asleep, he can affect him. He can't do that. No. Fucking writers. This is produced by Michael Bay, by the way. Well, Chris dies in a terrible homage to the Tina's death in the first one, and despite the fact that Jesse came in through the window, when he goes through the front door, the alarm goes off. It would still go off if we went through the window. The alarm is set to anything in the house. Any door, any windows, it's going to go off. So, it only goes off so he can be caught by the cops. That's it. It's the only reason why it goes off. Otherwise, it doesn't really make any sense to me. But, yeah. So, Jesse gets caught. He's taken to prison. I guess Rod was only taken to jail in the first one. He's in prison. He's got an orange jumpsuit and everything. And then he falls asleep. Meanwhile, Nancy and Quentin begin to look up stuff. And to me, I always felt this would go better if it was more than just the two of them looking stuff up. Chris was already looking stuff up. And then she died. And now we follow Nancy. Why don't we have the three of them looking stuff up before she dies? Also, Nancy should have died. And not just because Rooney Mara is... Not just because of Rooney Mara, but I think it would be a better twist if we follow Nancy for the first of this. And you're thinking, oh, Nancy's our main character. She dies, and then we follow Chris or Tina or whatever. Right? Wouldn't that be a nice twist? But no, they don't. You know. They start looking up stuff. Eventually, they find something in Nancy's house that is hidden behind a drawer that they open, but then can't close because there's something behind it. But it was closed all the way when they opened it, so... And they find a whole school class of children. And they find out every single one of them but them, those two, are dead. And this is where we have the lull, because after Jesse dies. We got about Jesse dies in prison. That's where we get the, why are you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet. And then they say the brain keeps working for 7 minutes after death. We have 7 minutes to play. But his death is just a... And that's what's kind of boring, is a stab. Like, when the most inventive kill in this is a steak knife to the neck. Yeah. And we have a lull, because for the rest of the movie, nobody fucking dies. There's no deaths, nothing. We get micro-nap stuff, we get them running, we get hospital visits, we get flashbacks, story development stuff, but in a slasher film, you have all but one of your kills towards the first half of the movie, and the rest is character development stuff. That's just bad writing. You need to spread your kills throughout the movie, and no one else dies in this movie till the end. And you know which one it is because you know the original. But yeah, so they do their investigation. We get a cameo from Aaron Yu, who apparently was also one of those kids that went to the school. So, does that mean if one of those kids moved away, he can follow them there? And he doesn't have to stick to Elm Street like the originals? Or Springwood at least? I don't know. Because you think, not everyone lives on Elm Street. Yeah. Quentin is in a swimming class or swimming, I guess it's a swim practice or something. And he's dropped into a dream where he sees the parents go after the kids. So when Nancy confronts Gwen, her mom, she says that the kids said that he would take them to a secret cave and do stuff to them, and that the killer, that Fred Krueger, left town and nobody heard from him again. Now, Nancy just went off on her. Well, went off. Tell me the truth. Nicolas Cage? I don't know, but like, about this. And you think that lying to her is not going to piss her off more? But no. Quentin has this dream that reveals that the parents killed him, because of course they did. And then comes the realization that the kids were actually making the stuff up and Freddy might be innocent the entire time. No. Now, like I said, this would be interesting if they went through with it. If the parents were mistaken and the kids just made it up. If they jumped to the conclusion, he took us to his little cave and he showed us stuff. And they just assumed that he was doing bad stuff to him. And they went after him and all that. There's not even a trial in this version. They just went after him. And with Jackie Earle Haley's acting in the flashbacks, you might think he may be. But then this flipped on its head when later Nancy and Quentin go to the preschool and find the secret cave, which tells me that no one was looking hard enough to find it. Because if two people to just walk in and find it right away, and no one else, the adults could look and find, I don't know. And he did do it. Yeah. I'm gonna notify. This movie gives me vindication. It gives me vindication. One big thing I like about this movie, gives me vindication. So, after Nancy has him run in with Freddy they go to the drugstore so Quentin can get more drugs, but the guy won't give it to him because he ran out of his prescriptions and he's taking too much and doesn't want to give it to him. Nancy's having micro naps. She comes in and she gets attacked by Freddy in the house, which actually the sequence is pretty well done. She gets sliced in the wrist or whatever, so Quentin takes her to the hospital. While there, Dr. April O'Neil, yes, it's, what's her face from the first movie? She also played a character named Gwen in Halloween Town. But, she is going to administer a sedative. But she needs permission from Nancy's mother to administrate it. They can't do it without permission, and she needs to sign off on it. So, I was right. They would not, in New Nightmare, they would not be allowed to inject Dylan with that sedative, given the fact that Nancy had said no. They would not be able to inject him with it. So what they did is illegal, and she could sue their ass and be stupid rich. Like, really stupid rich. Ha! Only good thing for this remake for me. Well, except for other things. Yes. And then they escape and they go to the preschool. They have a final confrontation with Freddy. And much like Glenn in the first one, he's supposed to watch over her but falls asleep. And ends up in a different dream and gets slashed but doesn't die. And then Nancy's trying to wake up and she can't wake up. By the way, there is a scene where she falls asleep in the bathtub and you get the hand and all that. That looks good. But then when they try to recreate the Freddy coming out of the thing over the bed, they use CGI. It looks terrible. And that's not the only thing they CGI. Get there. So, they defeat Freddy. Everything's hunky-dory. Quentin's going to the hospital. They're talking as they go back into the house. Nancy and her mom. And Freddy jumps through the mirror, grabs Gwen to the head with the blades, and kills her. And dream, 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 dream. Yeah, we have sort of a definitive end this time instead of just, I don't believe in you. But then, yeah. And then this. And it's completely CGI and it looks horrible. It looks horrible. And I'm calling out What Culture Horror because they had the balls, the Kajanis, to suggest that that's the better version of the kill. It was a calendar where it's like top 10 things remakes did better than the original. I think that was the thumbnail. I'm like, hell no, 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 no. No, 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 it's not. No. And I wanted to hear them out and listen to it. No, they couldn't convince me. Their defense was, well, it just looks like a blow-up doll being pulled through glass. Because it was. But you know what? It was practical. And it didn't look like stupid-ass CGI. It looked horrible. So, no, you're wrong. Mm-mm. That's the movie. And it's a piece of shit. It's terrible. I did find some things. Okay, I won't say it's a piece of shit. I'll just say I don't like it. And I'm saying it's not worth your time. Watch the original. Watch all of the sequels before you watch this one. Because no. The cinematography is crap. The lead actress couldn't give a fuck in her role to even give a performance. No. It's not worth your time. There, I did it. I did it. I revisited all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So, you know what that means? A ranking and then a bonus video where I will talk about my favorite kill from each movie and my favorite Freddy one-liner. It's basically just a one-liner because that's Freddy one-liner, but not every kill is from Freddy. I realized when I did Freddy vs. Jason, I picked the kill and I went, oh, Jason does that because Freddy only kills Mark. And I don't like that kill. So it's a Jason kill, but, whatever. So, what are your thoughts on the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Like, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.